What's up guys, it's Seajayfour and welcome back to another video. So today is going to be a sort of tutorial video, and I was looking around on YouTube and stuff, and all the videos I've found on custom nether portals are just tutorials, and that's not super great because that's kind of just copying someone else's work. So I thought, how can I teach people how to build a custom nether portal? So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. So to build your custom nether portal, there are 6 easy steps to follow, and I will be going through those steps for a couple different designs, and by the end of this video, you guys should be able to make your own custom nether portal. So this is the first custom nether portal I have made, and I think it looks really awesome. It is a plant kind of based nether portal, and it's using a bunch of the new 1.17 blocks, which I think are super cool. I think it looks even cooler at night just because of the way it lights up, and it's got some really cool particle effects in here going. I think it's a super cool build, and I'm really proud of myself on this one. The first step in this process is choosing a theme. And you guys can kind of see I went with like I said earlier, I went with like a mossy leaf-based, just kind of green nether portal design. So after you pick your theme, you're going to need a block palette. And for this build, you can see I've used vines, the glow lichen, kind of scattered throughout there. The glow lichen does a really good job lighting the build up. I've used 2 different kinds of leaves. I think the jungle leaves have a really nice color for the greenery in there. Moss block, obviously, because it's just a really nice block to use. But on top of that, I use green wool and green concrete powder. Now, the blocks you build with, just because I was building with plants doesn't necessarily mean that I have to use only plant-based blocks. I can use things that are the same color, so I could use like I used here, wool and concrete powder, or you could use concrete, or just anything that's the same color that you think would fit in nice with your portal. Now I also used the flowering azalea and the azalea just to add a little bit of different colors in there, like the pink, and we've got the brown stems, which I think look nice, just adding more overall color and a little bit different detail in there. And then finally the moss carpet and then the spore blossom, because the spore blossom adds some super nice particle effects. See these little green particles that are kind of floating around everywhere? I think it really adds to the nice ambience around the portal. And the moss carpets are obviously just for texturing around the portal. That is my block palette, and once you have picked out a block palette and you've got your theme, the next step is, well, these 2 steps are kind of interchangeable, and it is the shape and the size of your portal. So as you can see here, I have made a 6x6 portal. I wanted it to be a decent sized portal, and I wanted it to be square. So you're going to want to pick out the shape, and that doesn't just mean the shape of your portal. You can kind of make it whatever shape you want it to be by like putting blocks in front of it. So you can see mine here is not exactly a square because I've got blocks here and I've got blocks here and then stuff up there. So it doesn't look exactly like a square, which can add to the overall feel of your portal. After you've picked out the shape and size of your portal, you're going to want to get to designing. So this is just a couple of the blocks around it. You can mess with the height and how wide you want it to be and how far out the front you want it to go. So kind of just throwing around blocks. You don't have to detail yet. I started by building with moss only, just kind of getting the shape that I wanted, and that's how I ended up with kind of this hilly sort of greenery going all over the place, which I think really works with this kind of build. And the final step you're going to use for designing your nether portal is just going to be the details around it. So you can see that in front of here, I've got moss coming up a little farther than the rest of this, kind of as a path to lead you in. It kind of transitions well between the grass and the moss slash other greenery blocks in here. And depending on what your floor is, like if you got it your nether portal inside your base, you're going to want to use different blocks to kind of blend it into the ground. I also have these little bush things. I've got the azaleas all around, kind of just to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of different kind of look to it. I added the spore blossoms for the particle effects, like I said earlier. This glow lichen works really well for lighting it up. And then I had just some leaves scattered around, just so it looks like it's a little bit overgrown, along with these vines. And I think that makes a really nice overall feel to this build, and it feels like it ties the whole thing together. So the detailing is super important for your build. You want to make sure you can tie it all together using different types of blocks. You don't want it to be too bland with one block. If I had left it as, moss and green concrete powder and wool, then it would have looked super bland. And especially if I had just left it as moss, it would have looked super bland and it would not have looked as nice for sure. So now that I've stated the steps, I'm going to walk you guys through some of them. So this next one I'm building is going to be a Nether themed portal, and I have not tested this out yet or built anything. I'm just going to go by the steps and we'll see how it turns out. So obviously I said I was going with a Nether theme, so we'll get some, darker kind of blocks, maybe some blocks that you would see in the Nether, such as like basalt, maybe some different types of that, or we could get some, probably not netherrack just because I don't really like the look of that, but we could do a couple different types of blackstone here, like the gilded blackstone could look nice. We could maybe get some stairs in here, like you can use slabs and stairs, and that could look pretty nice. And if you can get something that has a little bit of ambience maybe, then that can look really nice. Like this lava here might be able to give us some good particle effects that we might be able to use. And this nether portal was actually the one I'm thinking of. It's a little bit inspired by a portal that I have used before on like a server, and that is totally okay. You can go on Google or YouTube or whatever and just like get some inspiration for what you want your nether portal to kind of be like. Not necessarily copying, but get some inspiration. That is totally cool and it's a great way to start out. So this portal, I'm probably not going to make as big. And that's just because I want to have kind of a different shape to this portal than I did the other one. Also, I want this one to be a perfect square with a one block center, just because I think that will fit best what I'm wanting to do with that. So you might be able to notice here that I actually went a little bigger than I was originally intending with the portal, but that's okay. You can change it up. I Since the shape and the size are kind of in the same step, it's okay if you change up the size a little if you want a different shape, which is what I ended up going with. And I think this shape in particular is super cool looking. I love the look of this, and it's still like a functioning nether portal. You can see it doesn't have to be perfectly square. This one is like a weird octopus kind of looking shape, and I think it looks super cool. The next step here is the portal design. So I've got my blocks here, and I think I'm just going to start building. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I'll keep you updated as I go. So I've got my design here, and I think it looks cool. I've got the kind of black stone slash gold flowing down the sides over here, and I've got our outlined path over to the middle of the portal, right in the middle here, as well as the framing with the basalt pillars on the outside, which I think looks really nice. Now the final step is the detailing, and I think some lava would look really cool here. So maybe we'll get some like iron bars going up the side here, kind of like this maybe. Maybe a little something like that, just with some lava coming out the side, which could look really awesome. Maybe we'll even get some lava flowing down on the sides here. Alright, I have finished up the details and I think this is looking super good. I really like the kind of dark overall feel it has, and I think it really suits like maybe a nether side build if you have like a decent sized nether portal in your nether hub or something. This could fit in super well. And a couple of tips I can't stress enough because this is super important. Make sure you are doing the floor because the floor can add a ton of detail and it really helps to blend in with the landscape around it. Like even though these are completely different block types, it still helps it flow and blend with the landscape a little more than it otherwise would. And one more thing, I would suggest using one background type as the back of your portal. So you can see in the one over here, I had only one color in the back here. Well, you can't really see it from here, but I only used the three block types. You don't want to have multiple colors because it can kind of mess with the look of the portal in the middle. So I would suggest only using one color or one block type in the back of your portal. But the design of this portal is done, and now we can light it. I would not suggest lighting your portal beforehand because then that kind of takes away from the whole design. You want it to look good as a build before it looks good as a portal. And I think this portal looks a little bit nuts. It's kind of awesome how I love the shape of this portal. I just love the shape of it. It's such a unique shape that you wouldn't see normally in Minecraft, especially as a nether portal. I really like the detailing around it. I think the lava adds a nice look. And another thing is the lighting. The lava adds some really nice lighting that is gonna be really good in like another sort of build, or it can stand out at night, which that's one thing about your portals that you're gonna want is you're gonna want it to be lit up. Like you can see with this one over here, the glow lichen really lights it up really nicely and adds some really nice ambient vibes to it. One other thing, you don't have to make like a curved top or anything. I just did on these last two, but you can see that the back of this one is completely flat, unlike this one over here. And it kind of depends on what kind of build you have. Like if this were to go in a building, that'd be perfectly fine to leave a flat back. But like if you're having it out in the open, kind of like this one, you would want to have kind of a hill so that it doesn't just look like like this, just like a flat back, like it was just plonked on the landscape. Okay, on to design number three, and this theme is going to be an end themed build. So the block palette I'm going to use is going to look something like this. Okay, so I kind of have no idea what I'm going to do for this portal, but this could work really well for like an end hub or something. I don't really know what you could use this for, but just kind of a cool theme idea. So I've kind of mixed in the designing and detailing steps of this thing, and I kind of did the shape and the size a little bit different on this one. As you can see, this one's a little taller and a little skinnier than some of the previous ones, and it's not a perfect square like the other ones are. And this build, I kind of designed it to be more like modern slash maybe symmetrical kind of build, but that doesn't mean I can't add details. Like even the pathway here isn't totally symmetrical, and I've got the stairs in here to kind of break it up and give it a little bit of texture, even though the whole thing might not be super textured like those ones over there. I didn't actually like how the slabs looked on the side, so I changed them out for carpet, and I think that looks a lot better. Now, another thing we can add to certain places is these candles. So I might decide to add, some little shelves here and there, just holding candles, just to maybe provide a little bit of extra light for this nether portal. Although this one's pretty well lit already with all the end rods, which is always a good thing. You can see it's nighttime and this is super well lit up. And since this is kind of an end-themed build, we might as well add some ender chests on the sides here just to tie it all in together. And it is totally okay if you don't end up using your entire block palette here. You can see I didn't use the stained glass here. On this one, I didn't end up using the polished deep slate, and originally over there I was planning to use some drip leaf, and I didn't end up doing that. So there are going to be blocks you don't end up using, which is totally fine. I still think these three portals look super good. I think this one looks okay. It's not my favorite. I feel like it doesn't have enough of the end stone kind of color, and a lot of it is pretty purple, just because originally I had the background as end stone, so that kind of helped it a little. But I think this is pretty good, and I'm willing to move on from this one. Alright, the next theme and block palette I've got, you've probably guessed it, it's an underwater slash ocean theme. So I have laid out a bunch of blocks here that would work, which means I'm probably not going to use all these, but that's okay. You're probably not going to use all the blocks you have in your block palette, depending on how many you have. Like I have a ton here. So I would say this portal is about finished. I've got the pathway leading up to it, and I think this aquarium idea turned out really neat. And I ended up actually using almost all of the blocks I was trying to use here, except for probably the sea lantern, which could have been cool. I could maybe still use a couple of those. And boom, that one's lit. Now keep in mind, the only thing I've planned about these portals beforehand was just the theme. So as long as you are following these steps, you should be able to create a pretty cool looking nether portal. And if you don't like it, you can just tear it down and start over. It's not a super huge deal. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of have no idea what I'm gonna do for this last one, so I guess I'll kind of just wing it. Probably a little more than these last ones, since I don't even know the theme yet. Don't have any ideas. Maybe a cave, kinda thing could be cool. A cave-based portal. That could be an interesting idea. Alright, so this is the block palette that I have got for this cave design, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I guess let's just get going with this. So I have finished up my final nether portal, and I'm gonna be honest, it's okay. It's not my favorite for sure, but I think it turned out okay. I went by the steps, and I think, it's fine. But I decided to do a grand reveal, and I don't know. It was probably a lot of unnecessary work. So here goes. Ta-da! This is my cave entrance. Let's light up the portal and see how it looks. I actually like it a lot more than I did before. It just looked kind of weird, but now that it's got the nether portal, I really like it. I've detailed it with some ores lying around, and it's got the tuff and andesite and stone mixed together just to make a kind of a nice looking different block textured cave feel. And I've got the deep slate path going into the portal. And I might have went a little bit overboard on this pointed dripstone, but I think it looks cool, especially in front of the portal here. I think it looks really nice. Yeah, so I think it's looking pretty good. And it even works at night. You guys can see that it's pretty well lit up. Like there aren't going to be any mobs spawning in here, and that's because of the glow lichen I've got right here, and kind of just all around the cave. It's a nice subtle texturing kind of block, and it really lights the place up nicely, which I think is super cool. So these are my 5 nether portals that I have built over the course of this tutorial, and I think the 6 steps work really well for building nether portals. We've got picking the theme, block palette, shape and size, those are kind of interchangeable. Portal design, which is kind of the main shape of the design around it, and then the detailing, of course. And if you follow those 6 steps, you're going to get yourself a nice looking nether portal. If you thought this was helpful, hit the like, make sure you subscribe. This has been Seajayfour, and I will see you later. I was really excited about this video idea. I was looking around on YouTube and I could not find anything on custom nether portals, and I was like, hey, I might as well give it a go because it's something that I could learn how to do also. And I think this video turned out really well. I really love that nether themed nether portal. Wow, that was a tongue twister. I'm pretty proud of myself on all of these. See you in the next one.